I don't know. I know that you probably saw the short program that I did about the woman who got arrested because she refused to give her ID, and without trial, without any kind of criminal proceeding, the probate court deemed her incompetent, and they threw her in an institute for the criminally insane, right. A prison for the criminally insane for like 9 months. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, that's some 1984 type shit right there. And then they drugged her. They drugged her over and over again.
Yeah.
With no sentence, no nothing. And, the socialists were making decisions that affected her life directly.
Oh, yeah.
Without any kind of legal standing, with no kind of decision by a judge. Conviction. Yeah, no kind of decision by a judge, no ruling, no opinion, no nothing. Just this criminal probate judge who deemed her incompetent.
Right.
So that was sort of the beginning of, me getting to this 1984 system that we're living in.
Right. So, see, shit like that is why I say go on the offensive immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they're committing a crime, then you're not just going to sit there and whine about it. You're gonna make clear that you're filing a criminal complaint on them, and get their supervisor and report the crime or place them under arrest. See, because it changes what the conversation is in trial, completely. It just completely changes it to the point where, you're not even going to be talking about you. You're going to be talking about them.
Right.
All of these fucking laws and stuff, god damn, man, they're so stupid. They're based on nothing. They're not even crimes. And yet people will sit there and fucking defend it. Dude, I cannot believe these commenters I have. I have so much better conversations with ChatGPT than these fucking people. I put people in quotes all the time because I don't consider them people. I consider them just fucking clone tards, just fucking one and another. Dime a dozen. What are they? What the fuck are they? Dude, I was saying this in that email. Like, think about if you were God. Yeah. And you're deciding who goes into heaven. And it's like, well, this idiot believed every fucking thing they were told, regardless of whether it was based on something or not. I want him in. He's a good man. Yeah, right.
Yep. Dude,
those are the only people I would keep out. They're the only ones. The people that don't even have brains of their own. Yeah, you gotta go. What kind of a club would want that person in there? Like an exclusive nightclub, or what kind of an exclusive restaurant? Or it's just like, oh, well, you fucking literally do anything you're told, no matter what. You'll believe in it. You'll go and fight with these people. So many people want to fight me about just what I tell the truth, and then they want to fight about it.
Yeah, but they don't have any kind of a stance. They don't know how to. It's like going into the boxing ring and thinking that you're gonna do well against somebody who's a national champion, and you haven't had any training on how to box.
It's worse than that, though. It's when you get in the ring, you don't end up trying to throw any punches at all. Bro, I would rather my comment section be full of people bringing up points and me giving the rebuttal. Having legitimate conversations. But they can't do that because they get in the ring with me and they just kind of fucking like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where he doesn't have arms. I'll bite your legs off.
Yeah, exactly. What we see there is, the masses, the same kind of people that come into our comment sections and have nothing to say. They don't listen. They're not paying attention. All they're doing is hailing their oppressors. And when the oppressors come on and start telling them how free they are, they calm down and they they get tears in their eyes and they get all emotional. Here's our saviors, our oppressors. But this other guy who's telling them the truth about where they're at, he's hated. And they never shut up. They never hear a word he has to say because they're screaming and yelling and shouting and and being, these programmed drones. Just like all the people that rail against the Constitution. They rail against their own constitutional rights. And they hail these pigs and these judges and these politicians like they're going to save us from ourselves. Right? It's insane.
I've never
we were
seen
talking
the movie
before we went live about how. No, go ahead.
I've never seen the movie, but all these people shouting all this fucking nonsense. It's like, do you think that they believe that they're being heard, or like they're just, dude, they're like animals where they're like just barking they're just barking. It's not really to be heard. It's not for communicative purposes. It's just ruff, 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 ruff. Like there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're there where people just don't want to hear it. And like, no one wants to know what reality is. I don't even get it. I don't even understand their point. I honestly, like, bro, you know that you've got a freedom of speech, and all the time you're like, oh, your speech is a disturbance. Oh. It's like, what are you talking about? You have a right to bear arms, and yet every fucking place you go, some government agent is telling you don't have a right to bear arms.
Right.
Like, that we're not supposed to be quartering soldiers, and yet that you're paying the rent for these socialists, and they're at war with us. So they're definitely soldiers, and not only that, they're enemy soldiers.
Yep.
And then people pat them on the back, like, thank you for your service. Oh my gosh, dude. That might be the number one giveaway, that you're so out of it that you will just, dude, you saw a bumper sticker that said that, and now that's your belief system. It's based on nothing. You can't defend it. It doesn't make sense when you look at any of it. And and then over and over again, like, Fourth Amendment right to be secure. Are you secure if someone just points at you and fucking turns their emergency lights on and gets to take your stuff and your kids and your dog and your... I mean, come on. Is that secure? Dude. You got to think about America like it's all... it's consent of the governed, okay? And that the American people are American people because their forefathers signed up and said, yeah, I'll go with that. And why is that? It's because the law wasn't that some servant points at you and ruins your whole life and takes your property and loses your jobs for you and gets you divorced. And like, come on. That's not why people agreed to be part of America. So that we could be told what to do by servants. I asked you nicely to do this. That means you're now breaking the law. I'm a servant, and I asked you. I didn't even tell you. And now, here it is. I'm telling you that you're a criminal for not following my ask. What?
Yeah, it's insane, man.
And then all these people shouting, sovereign citizen, sovereign citizen. Like, what are you talking about? You think it's sovereign servant? You do, don't you? Well, that's a contradiction in terms. Now, I know people say sovereign citizen is, but that's obviously wrong.
Yeah, sovereign citizen is not a it's not a contradiction in terms because the Constitution lays it out. Every person, man, human being, is sovereign. Is sovereign, not over the next sovereign, not over the sovereign standing next to him or the one next to him or the one next to him. We're sovereign over our own lives. You've made this point over and over and over again. And even Paul, the proper instruction motivates people guy, he says the same thing, but he he says it differently. You have to be personally responsible, and you have to conduct yourself in a manner that your life is under your control. Then nobody else can step in and say, well, you're out of control, blah, blah, blah. Yet they do it all the time. They do it all the time to people that are reasonable and rational and calm, who just want to get public records. Public records. This is you've had this problem. Lots of people are having this problem now, and it's coming to the top in a lot of these different channels, that these socialists, they don't want us to have the evidence of their crimes. And so they make it difficult for us to get records. They make it difficult for us to get.
They hate us. That's what it all comes down to. That's why my book's titled Treason, instead of they need to fill a public records request. It's not called we need transparency. It's not called. You know what I'm saying? It's that they hate us. They're at war with us. There is no defense of the socialist. It's theft. Okay, so. There's homeless people working every fucking day right now. And the reason they're homeless is because the government is taking all their money, all the value in the whole country, to the point where they'll leave work that day and they'll have enough for food for the next day. So when exactly are you going to, buy a barbershop and fulfill your dream? Never. Never. Because we're too busy feeding the socialist and sending the socialist off to wars with our equipment and with our young men. And then people want to respect that. Oh, yeah, you found a zombie, and now you think that you should salute them or something. You should thank them for their service. You should treat them like a hero.
No.
They didn't build their house. I did.
I got into this conversation the other day with an acquaintance of mine. And we were talking about this and that and the other thing, and he got around to, what do you think the important issues are in this election? I said, the most important issue in this election is the reestablishment of our republic, our constitutional republic. Nothing else matters. But who's talking about taking back our constitutional republic and putting it back on top where it's supposed to be instead of being in this socialist system? Nobody. Everybody's talking about immigration.
Ron Paul talked about it. Not many other people even understand what liberal, big government, or conservative, small government means. Ron Paul, I think, was basically the last figurehead where he started making sense. And then as far as Rand Paul, I'm not sure. I've heard conflicting things out of him.
Yeah, he confuses me. And, people that confuse me get shunted off to the side until they can figure out how to explain themselves in a way that makes sense. Okay, Kurt, I'm glad that you're here, buddy, but we're not talking about flat Earth today, okay? We weren't even really talking about it the other day. I see what you're saying, but...
Well, in a lot of ways, it's very similar. If he's got a question or something, we can address it, because it comes down to this thing that we do, where we're just going to trust some fucking bullshit that we've been told.
No, I get that.
That's the sickness. And it's the same sickness in the law as it is with the shape of the Earth, or with aliens, or with Bigfoot.
Right, the constituency of outer space, the nature of time, prehistorical antiquity.
Yeah, 5 million years ago, these claims. This shit's all based on what your belief systems are about. And you'll just kind of accept it if you've been told that the Earth is 5 billion years old, or 6.6, or whatever it is. 5.5, I think, is what they say the Earth is, and then the solar system started like 13.9 billion years ago or some shit like that. And
yeah, but can they prove that?
Of course not.
No, we don't have the technology to prove it. They think they do, when really all they're doing is postulating and making up theories.
A lot of people think they do, but the people making these theories, like say Stephen Hawking, whoever came up with this narrative, I don't think that they believe that at all. I think that it's just a story.
Well, it's, these theoretical physicists, all they are all they are storytellers, and what they're telling is all fiction. It's all made up in their minds. That's what theory is. Theory isn't something that is proven. Theory is just an idea. It's a fiction in somebody's mind that they write down on paper, and they hand it off to more fiction writers who look at it and go, yeah, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. What was his question anyway about the flat earth?
Jeff Hates Pig says, Grandpa told me that I was hatched by the sun from cow poop.
Crow poop?
Sorry, crow poop. I don't know how I've read cow there. I guess it's just, whenever I see the word poop, I think cow goes in front of it. Crow poop. Well, there could be worse things than coming from crow poop. Yeah. Did he really tell you that, Jeff? Did he really tell you that? Or, yeah.
Well, there's actually 2 creation stories in the Bible. One is, let's see, it doesn't explain it very well in the Standard Bible, but apparently Apocrypha sources have a little bit further explanation. But essentially what we've got is, how did it go? Man and woman was like created from the dust of the earth. And then woman was created from Eve's rib. Oh, is that how it went?
No, Adam's rib. That's why.
Or Adam's rib. Yeah,
that's right. That's why we have one less rib.
And
that's why women have one less rib than we do. I don't understand. That's it.
Is that even true?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me look that up. You go ahead. Keep going there.
Okay, so apparently this first woman's name was Lilith, which is not in the Bible, as we see it today. But she was like an equal to males, to Adam, and she was tough. In other words, like these women on the movies that they're trying to portray, those are Lilith, where she's tough and she's like a man, where she can get things done and she can think through to the solution, and like she'll use violence and things like that, like where she's a man. That was Lilith. And then Adam's like, bro, this bitch is fucking not cool, and I don't like hanging out with her. And so God was like, okay, and then he created Eve out of Adam's rib in order to be subservient to him, not his equal. And so, people are like, well, who did Adam and Eve's kids have kids with? Well, there was actually a split, mother. There's 2 mothers. So Lilith had offspring, and remember, they lived for a long time back then. Eventually, God realized that a person either cultivates into mold or into mycelium, and it happens in just probably not that long, really. You start deciding who you are, maybe in your 20s in our culture. If you were free to be your own child, then maybe it would be earlier. People would gain self-actualization earlier if they weren't being constantly sat in desks and taught shit that they're never going to know anyway. I somehow retained all this information, and it's so weird to me that all these commenters show up and they retained none of it, and now they've got advice for me, and it's just like,
yeah, it's crazy, man. I see your commenters, and they have they make no contribution, positive or negative. They don't have an argument. All they say is you're mentally ill, or you got these problems, or you're on the dole, or whatever, man. All these non sequiturs, man.
Right.
They are basically they're the people that show up at the racetrack with a car that doesn't run, and they just sit on the sideline and yell and scream, "I need to be in that race too." It's crazy, man. It's insane. Listen,
they're happy being herd animals. They're happy being in the crowd. They would never bring the car. They're not that guy. Yeah. You've got the big chair for a couple minutes, Kennedy. I got to get up, so you go ahead, man. It's all you for now. Okay. So, what's been going on lately with my case, I guess, is what I could get into. So, for one thing, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Judge Landis threatened me again on the motions hearing, where he hand-waved dismissed all of my constitutional objections in favor of things like case precedent and, state laws and just judicial policies and just anything he could do to avoid upholding the law, which he's bound to under Article 6. So Article 6 Supremacy Clause is going to explain the law of the United States to you, and then it's going to tell judges their mandate to uphold the law of the United States, regardless of what any state law is. And that certainly goes doubly for anything that's not a law, right? Like a judicial policy. Who does that apply to? I don't know. It's not me. Anyways, so the judge prevented me from recording. And remember, he's supposed to be a lawyer, but he's not very clear with his speech. So what is recording? Well, that means he banned me from writing things down, taking notes. Not that I can anyway. I can't write. But so banned me from that and video recording, audio recording, everything, right? And so because of that, now I don't have any record of what he did. I asked him in court if I could have that record. He said yes. So now that became a judge's order. He said that, yes, I can have it. I can have it. And so obviously, what are the court clerks? Meryl Lee Aldred, she's been in several of my videos, or at least one, auditing 2.0, where I filmed in the courtroom the first time. So that was years ago. Anyways, I accused her of slavery at that time because she's threatening people to be jurors, which, dude, knock it off. Stop threatening people around you. Like, knock it off. This is unacceptable. It's not acceptable anywhere. You go around some little woman is running around like threatening people and telling them what to do and stuff. It's just like, get real. Get real. I pay you to know these laws. And now every time I talk to you, I'm having to correct her about either procedure or whatever. So I made a request for ADA access. And I asked help filling it out. Remember? Because disabled. So that's the whole point of ADA, is that you get access to these things regardless of if you can write it yourself. Your servant can do that for you. See, but their whole shtick is, well, we're not servants. We're sovereign citizens. Sovereign servants is what they believe. Right? They don't think they're citizens. Citizens are scum to them. That's what they believe. Because why? Because we feed their kids. We pay their rent. We feed them every day. We literally do their dishes. Literally. Yeah, we pay for their useless lives. We literally mow their lawns. We literally do everything for these people. And then what do they do for us? Well, every chance they get. That's a good question, Kurt Olson. There is not one scripture they talk about the ball earth. You're.
That's absolutely spot on.
It's pretty close. Okay, here's what I know about it. First off, the Quran says something about being spread out like a carpet. Could you have a carpet on a ball? Yeah, you can. Technically, you can do things like that. It doesn't seem really in the spirit of spreading it out like a rug. You imagine a rug, right? Doesn't really say it. And then there's the Bible. What does it say about the shape of the earth? Not much. There's a part where Satan takes Jesus on the mountain and he says that you can see the entire earth. Now that kind of indicates flat. However, let's say it's a ball and you're looking at one half of the ball. Does that mean that you're not looking at the entire earth because you're not looking at the back of it? You never look at the back of stuff. You're always going to be looking at your side of it. So I'm not sure that it really says whether it's flat or not. Another thing it says, though, is Noah's Ark. Does it make sense to build a tower into heaven if you live on a ball in space? Probably not. But what if you live in a ball with the firmament? Then it could. So the Bible doesn't actually really answer the question. There's some things that kind of could indicate something, but bro, it is so hard to understand context when you're 1,000 years removed. Bro, even if you're a mile removed and it happened today, you basically have no idea what happened.
Right. Like I'll give you a perfect example of your analogy just now. The mile away thing. One night I was coming home and I could see the red and blues and the red and whites of the ambulance on the road that I live on, which is rural. And I thought, great, somebody had an accident up here. I couldn't figure anything out because it was dark. All I knew is that there was a car upside down in the ditch and it, lost control somehow. So the next day I came back and I parked and I walked along the side of the road and I saw the skid marks. Right. So whoever this person was that was driving was going, A, possibly going way too fast. B, something ran out in the road in front of it, a cow, a pig, a horse, Bigfoot, a deer, a flock of turkeys, whatever. No, turkeys are sleeping at night. Never mind. Something ran out in the road and they slammed on their brakes and lost control then or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I had no idea what happened. I could see the result of whatever unknown event happened. I could see the result. I could see the tire. I could see the black marks on the road where they locked up their wheels, and I could see the damage to the fence that they went through, and I could see where, the dirt was torn up where the car had, flipped end over end. But I didn't have any idea how it came to pass that car ended up on its roof in the ditch. Yep. I just didn't have any idea. No context. Exactly. I can see the results of it, but I don't know how it got that way.
Yeah, and if someone wants to give you a story and they do know the facts, then they could make a pretty passable story as long as they always keep that information out of your hands. I'll be right back.
Right. Yep. Okay, man. Kurt, you make some pretty good points, man. Whether or not it's what we're talking about, it's still relevant because people see this, cardboard sphere with the Mercator projection on it, or whatever. I think it's Mercator that made the global projection. I'm not sure. My cartographic history knowledge is not good anymore. But then they go, well, it must be a globe. Because I'm looking at a globe right in front of me. It must be a globe. The Earth must be a gigantic ball of dirt spinning through space. With absolutely no proof whatsoever. And people say, well, we got all these pictures of, from outer, quote unquote, outer space or from the upper atmosphere or whatever. Did you ever stop to think that maybe it's the shape of the lens that they took the pictures from, with, that makes it look like it's spherical? We call that parallax error in photography. Parallax error. They're typically in space, they're using wide-angle lenses because they want to get as much of it as they can. And a wide-angle lens, the closer and closer you get to the outer limits of that lens being able to focus on your subject, the more of a curve it gives to everything. Okay? That's just the nature of glass and plastic lenses. So that's not... that's not conclusive. Okay, it's just not. Proven that the Earth is flat or a globe. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to do that. Kennedy and people like him probably are. I'm really not.
What was the question?
No, I was just talking about how, the pictures that we have from outer space are taken with normally wide-angle lenses, which cause a curve.
Hold on. You're wrong about all this. There are no pictures from outer space.
Right. Well,
There's
okay.
what's called images, and they're built from composites. And the way that this works is that you stitch a whole bunch of individual pictures together in a computer, and you end up with Google Earth.
Right.
And so that's what this picture that you're talking about, because here's what it is getting a location to take a good shot of the sun, of the Earth, where you're going to want probably to show it fully illuminated so that it can be like a good Earth picture, a full Earth picture. It's really hard to get there. But anyways, that brings up another point that the Bible does mention about the Earth, and that is that the Earth was created before the sun. And so that doesn't work with heliocentric ideas, where we circle the sun, which I would say that it's more of an acentric universe globe, where I would call it a globe or something, a shape, but it's the center of the universe. Sun and moon circle around us. Of course, these are beliefs,
yeah, they're religious,
Yeah,
practically they are it's a religion.
Right. The scientists.
It's a belief because we don't know for sure.
Yeah, the scientists will claim that they charted the stars and got computer models and figured out all this. But that's just all faith-based. These are priests paid by the government. They're socialists. And that's where, all the funding for these research grants and stuff is coming from. It's from the public fund. And then now that you're in charge of the public fund, there are no proofs that the Earth is flat in its entirety, to tell you the absolute truth.
Yeah, the absolute truth is there's no absolutely true proof that the Earth is anything but a shape.
Right. I made this picture a long time ago. It's a CGI'd level put on my lawn, and I said, "Okay, the Earth is flat. Prove me wrong." But you know what the problem with that is, right? That we're not doing a measurement of. First off, it's CGI level because it has to be.
Right.
And then, I'm not actually measuring the entirety of the Earth. And so if you want to take a look at my channel, go and look at Flat Earther Proves the Earth is Not Flat, because that's proof of what's going on all the way on the other circuit path, on the other side, the opposite circuit. But you don't have proof that it does that in its entirety, though, Kurt. There isn't proof of that.
As an expert in the way that water behaves, because I was a plumber for 14 years, and even before I became a schooled plumber, water seeks its own level.
Well, on a small scale, yeah.
Right.
Probably.
But once you, But you know what about the ocean? The ocean is affected by forces greater than the water that's in your cow pond in the back of your property or whatever, that stays calm unless the wind blows. It seeks its own level and it stays flat.
Right. There are no waves.
Right.
Except for in the ocean. Let's see. There are no. What is it exactly?
I don't know, man. I've been on some pretty big
high
lakes.
And low tide, I think, is what it has to do within lakes. Where in the ocean, it's sloshing back and forth gradually all the time. Whereas
it never stops
lakes,
moving.
It's like too small to notice it type of a situation.
Right. But also, I've spent time on several of the Great Lakes or near several. I've been in boats on Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. Okay, and they definitely have waves.
Freshwater lakes.
Yeah, those are freshwater lakes. that, okay, here it's a waterway, but there are lakes in this waterway. Okay, they do connect to the ocean, but it's all fresh water. There's no brackish water in any of these lakes. The oceans. Okay, I'm not an expert on oceanography. Okay, but as far as I can tell, the only reason we get waves in the Great Lakes is because of weather. Wind and the change in barometric pressure, which causes wind in the first place. We got, a cold front and a warm front, which are two different barometric pressure areas, and they cause weather, wind, rain, storm clouds,
right.
Lightning. All that stuff is a result of barometric changes. So the wind on the, there can be some really gigantic waves, especially on Superior at the right time of the year because the weather is so severe. But it's completely different than the waves in the ocean. The waves in lakes and ponds and, freshwater, inland seas is caused by the wind. It's completely different than the ocean. Completely different.
Also, if you look at a small scale, the meniscus on water is not flat. Where
right.
You can pour a shot glass over the brim, right? Just a little bit.
Right. And where surface tension holds it to the top of the glass, it's actually got a curvature to it.
Yeah, which means that even on a small scale, that we can't establish all water lays flat and level as a fact because it's not a fact. And if it's not a fact where we can see it, where is it also not a fact? Anywhere else, because a fact is something you can prove. That's what a fact means. That's why gravity is a theory, because there's no way to isolate it and test it except for this story of space that they tell us. And even then, gravity would be affecting something, right? They say even Pluto or whatever is circling the sun because of gravity.
Right.
So
right, it's captured. It's captured by a gravimetric force.
Well, that's the story anyway.
Right, that's the explanation that we get. Right, yeah, it's
faith-based, though. It's listening to a priest. And here's the problem with taking somebody's witness is that, bro, if you're going to take that as a fact now, that's your problem, is because they told you something. You don't have any reason to believe in it, but you're going to just believe it because that's Neil deGrasse Tyson. What the hell has that guy ever accomplished? It's nothing. How about Stephen Hawking? What has he accomplished? He mathematically proved that black holes exist. You know what that means? Nothing.
It means nothing. It means nothing. Math is supposed to establish concrete fact, but it doesn't really, unless you're talking about measurement.
Well, math is a language. People don't realize it's a language made for comparing things, essentially. And the thing about language is that you can lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can do that with the language of numbers the same way that you can do it with English or Spanish or French.
No, absolutely.
Bro, everyone is completely full of shit. It's everyone where they will come and bear you testimony about something that they had nothing to do with. Oh, we landed on the moon or something. It's like, dude, first off, you're bearing false witness to me, so why should I listen to you?
Yep.
That's all
true.
there is to it. Have you been to the... Dude, I don't want to hear your crap.
Never been to the moon. Nope, never been to the moon.
I don't want to hear your opinions. Oh, you trust someone that said it, so now you're going to come in here and fight with me about whether we went to the moon? Just shut the fuck up. Go away. Find something to do with your life. Honestly, what? These people constantly are wanting to argue about, shit they have nothing to do with. It's there are facts in this world, and you got to stick to them. You got to stick to them. So, did we declare war in Afghanistan? No. So, you got to stick to that fact. That's a fact. And that's why no matter how many liars there are out there, it's your own fucking fault if you're falling for a megachurch scam. That's your fault.
Right. Joel Osteen.
That's your fault. He's sitting there talking about wanting jets, and he's got 5 of them or some shit, and you're over here like, I should give him my money so that I go to heaven.
Yeah, he's a good Christian. No, he's not, because he values wealth over truth. He's not truth, way, life. He's lies, chaos, and death. That's Joel Osteen.
Oh, it's everybody, dude. Where's the lawyer out here saying the drug war is treason? I had to say it. And as far as I can tell, I'm the only person that said it. Where it's like, it obviously matches up with the text.
Obviously.
Perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the law, treason. And
well, the drug war, like you said before, is by definition and established facts in the Constitution, it's treason. It's treason.
Yeah, Article 3, Section
treason.
3, I think, is treason.
It's textbook treason. Textbook.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to define treason, take a look at the drug war. There you go. That's it.
But then it's even worse than that. Because, instead of people being like, oh, wait, this is socialism, they show up in my channel and they say, you don't know what socialism is. You don't know the law. You don't know. It's like, well, then where are your examples? Why don't you tell me what socialism is? And they can't, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can't, but they're here fighting with me about that I don't know what socialism is. Guys, it's just public funds. It's social. Social. That's us, guys. So when something's socialized, that means that now we own it. So if we're going to take a power plant from the private owner and give it to the public, now that's socialized. That power plant was just socialized. And now it's societies.
Right.
Like it's
exactly.
all in the words. The definitions of these words, it's in the word. And so to show up and be like, that's not socialism. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course it is. There's us, and we earn our way, and every day we're like, I can either invest $10,000 in this, or I can hitch a ride to work for $80, or I can... Every day you've got choices, and those choices end up building you into something reliable and substantial that can make it, And that's not what the socialist is doing at all. They just show up and they get paid. We pay them. And because there's no person it's coming out of their pocket for, everyone is just like, oh, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. You're the boss. I'm the boss. I'm a king. I'm a king. Look at these sovereign servants, citizens. We're sovereign servants. Who told them that they were sovereign citizens when we're the sovereign servants? It's like, dude, what the hell are... This lack of progression, when it goes on for 40 years, like you see it in their faces, you see it in their bodies, you see it in the way they talk, where they'll just fucking mumble and just... They can't even really articulate anything. It's funny that articulable is a part of their little new age fucking frauditing crap.
Right, because it's not even a word.
No, articulable, it means you can articulate it and put it into words. And yet, all of these guys can't articulate things. They can't even speak. All of them. Where it's just like, dude, that's part of your own little cult bullshit. And all you got to do is say how you think I'm committing a crime, and you can't even fucking do it.
Well, it's also in the auditing community, the perfect example, the poster child for the auditing community is Carolina, Fort Worth. What's the crime? What's the crime? What's the crime? What do we hear from the cops? I need your ID. I need your ID. I need your ID. I need your ID. What do we hear from the woman behind the glass who's supposed to be giving you public records? You already asked me a question. You already asked me a question. You already asked me a question. They just keep repeating the same thing over and over again as if that makes it true.
It's like you're talking to a thing that's not really alive. It's not really a human being. It's just this turd. It's been being a turd for 20 years now, and it's just dug in. It doesn't know why it does the things it does. It doesn't know what's going on. It's sure that it's not the problem. See, and I'm sure of the opposite. I'm sure it is the problem.
Right. We know for sure that they are the problem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, goddamn, every time we take anything to them, like need these records, the judge ordered it. What are they going to do every single time? Oh, go to this website. I'm not lifting a fucking finger. I'm in charge of you. I'm in charge of you. Well, you know what? If you were a great individual, I would fall for it too. But you're not. And when I read Supremacy Clause and your own judge doesn't even know what his job is, then not only do I think he's incompetent, but I think everything he's told you just believe it. He's wearing a fucking
it's all lies.
Dress and so a black robe, so you're going to believe it. And he's wrong. Which makes you, by extension, wrong. All of you are just fucking idiots following the next retard. And then somehow the one thing that people capture in the whole life is that they're geniuses and that they should be sharing their opinion. And that they should be out there voting and any of it, dude. Any of it. Bro, I'll have a person that can't tell me what socialism is think that he needs to go and vote. Self-actualization. Figure out who and what you are. And then, bro, if you're so stupid that you can't even tell me what a socialist is, even though you're going to tell me, that's not socialism, then don't vote, guys. Be aware of who you are. Is your opinion really going to be good when you've ended up knowing nothing? Bro, if someone actually makes a point, I always refute them. And at the end, I'll be like, well, you tried. You tried, but it was based on nothing. It was based on your gibberish that you saw on your TV. And as long as you're going to go ahead and accept crap like that as proof of your position, like, dude, they show up and fight with me because they watched, like, some TV show like Matlock. It's honestly what it is, where they're like, I know exactly what it is, and that means that you should be beat up, and you're the traitor. That's a funny one. You're the traitor.
Yeah, you're the traitor. You're the traitor.
I'm the one declaring war on the American people. Which Americans did I declare war on there, buddy?
Right. What Americans did you hurt? What Americans did you injure, maim, or kill?
Where's my victim in anything, ever?
Where's the pile of victims behind Kennedy Walker?
Yeah.
They don't exist.
Of course not. And they never do. And that's the problem that we're having with the just us clowns. It's the just us system, idiots. I don't know how anyone could stand behind this. Like, no. We need cops to show up and bother you. We need it. Society would collapse. Society would just collapse if we didn't have fucking retards running around freeloading off of us and doing crime. Military is like murder and shit. I support them.
Yeah, support the troops. When the truth is, if our military fires one round on foreign soil against, on foreign sovereign territory against their citizens, that's a criminal enterprise without a declaration of war. It's a criminal enterprise.
Yep.
The Constitution says so. It's nothing but, our military have become nothing but criminal adventurers that go and kill people for corporate America.
Yeah.
Somebody prove me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Please prove me wrong.
They'll send all these $50 million aircraft carriers, or I don't know how much shit costs, but either way, it's just a scam to take the top 40% or whatever right off the top. It's always that. And then you just hire somebody else to run it. But yeah, the point is though, if justice is so what we're doing, then what would you guys do if Afghanistan, which remember they gained their independence from us, right?
Theoretically,
Revolutionary War type of a scenario with them. So what happens if they put in warrants for all the soldiers that went to Afghanistan? Are you still going to say that it's law and order when we refuse all those warrants? It wasn't a legally declared war.
Yeah, there was nothing legal about it. It was a criminal enterprise. It was a criminal adventure that we sent our military to go do over there.
Yeah, we would have discussed it in Congress and passed it back and forth like, should we go to war? Shouldn't we go to war? And then once we got to the end of it in Congress, that we'd have a list of, we have to go to war because of this and this and this, or we can't go to war because of this and this and this. And it's like, we're not doing that due process. Therefore, it's just flat out a crime every time where it's like, now it's not even debatable. Now, even if you were doing something good, it's without a declaration of war. And it's just like, bro, you know as well as I do that if they put in warrants and sent it to America and said, we want those people sent back to us to serve prison time for their crimes against the Afghanistan people, starting with trespassing from the day they showed up.
Yep. Trespassing, murder, criminal property
and then,
damaging,
all the way up.
Kidnapping. I guarantee you that there was SA going on there.
They were definitely violating all of their God-given rights, which we've outlined in our Constitution. So we don't believe that just Americans have those rights. We actually believe those are God-given and all men have it.
It doesn't. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that it's only for American citizens.
Yeah,
nowhere.
Certainly not.
Nowhere. It is our constitutional republic is for the entire planet.
Yeah, it's human rights. Essentially, that's what human rights are.
Right.
Things like being secure. Unless there's a warrant where a person swore out to get a warrant against you. Now we're talking about you're going to lose some rights because someone's accusing you of a crime. If it's not true, if it's based on nothing, then you should be able to put in motions to show that and stuff. But since the judge is literally just going to go with here's what judges do. Oh, this one's the Mason and this one's not. That one's winning no matter what.
Yeah, he's part of the club.
And I'm just going to twist the truth and I'm going to apply any nonsensical standard that I can imagine. I'm going to expect the people not to say shit about it, which I do say shit about it. And which is why I already have appeal grounds. He failed so badly in the motions hearing. He failed so badly that, now I'm requesting those records. They're probably going to drag their feet for another 3 months. I'm just going to keep asking for extensions then. Yeah,
well,
if they can't get their shit together, like I put in requests to be ADA accessible on September 10th, day before my last hearing. I said I need help filling it out. Here, use this form, which I sent them, the motion that I sent to the court that I want ADA compliance. And so, they refused to get back to me. And then obviously next time I talk to them, that's my fault, obviously. I mean, dude, how can you have trust in people that literally can't even accept reality at any turn? Every time you talk to them, it's all about how it's your fault.
Right. Reluctant. I know I mentioned this in one of the emails I sent you back. Reluctant Prophet is having the same problems with his the sheriff department where he lives in Arizona. The same problem. And this woman that he's talking to behind the 1.5-inch thick polycarbonate bulletproof glass with a little speaker.
I don't like minimizing it down to like this is happening to one person. Bro, it's happening
to everybody.
Every single public building, all hours of the day, all throughout every day, all day, all the days of the year after year. And so that's why it's so preposterous to me that anyone would think that it's a good idea to support these criminals.
Yeah,
these flat out, they're psychopaths where they think everything's you. They don't have to lift a finger ever. And they're in charge. Why are you in charge? Is it because of your competence? No. Is it because you get shit done? No. Is it because you're just a crybaby that doesn't need a job? Honestly needs to probably go bake bread for a man and just stay the hell at home. Just like in the old days.
Collect garbage.
No, women need to they just need to stay at home. They're not capable of dealing with the world. They're just not. And that's why we have so many problems in these public buildings, because now these women think that they're in charge. Okay, in private businesses, it's not quite as bad because they have a supervisor that's actually paying them and is going to keep them in check. Like,
right, there's a balance of power instead of them believing that they have all this power, because all they have to do is shut off that intercom system where they talk to you in the lobby and then walk away. They think that's power, when really what it is it's dereliction of duty, and it's failing to do your job. It's refusing. It's flat outright refusing.
What it is? It's honestly, it's disorderly conduct in my state. Because I've got business to accomplish, and guess who's standing in the way?
Women.
Well, public servant. All these offices are completely full of women, and it's because women will go along with any crime. They're not gonna stand up and say, "Hey, that guy has a right to film in this courtroom."
No, they're never going to say that.
Well, a man would. Men will. It's 50-50 with the man. But 2/3 of women will go ahead and go with no matter what the authority says.
Right. Yeah. What'd you say? It's the Meldrum experiment. What's it called again?
Milgram authority experiments.
Milgram. Okay. And, over and over again. And it's been replicated.
Yeah.
Through the years, right?
Many times. It's the most repeated sociological experiment ever. That we're aware of,
right.
Anyway.
So what we have there is proof that 2/3 of women will do whatever the fuck they're told by whoever they perceive to be the authority figure.
Right, which is why they can't be voting. They can't be on juries. They can't be, honestly, even speaking in public is nonsense, because 2/3 of them will literally just repeat something that an authority told them, no matter what. So because of that, it's like their opinions are, virtually meaningless. 1/3 of them will have some sort of moral framework, I guess. But any of the rest, no way. It's not even. That's why arguments with women are such gibberish. And like, men have known this forever. We've always known that bitches be crazy. That's what it is. We've always known that.
William S. Burroughs, his favorite quote of mine is "Exterminate all rational thought." Well, we've gone beyond that. There's hardly any rational thought at all. It has been exterminated. Yeah. It's almost extinct. There is almost no rational thought in the public anymore.
It's possible that it's never been a thing, because even in the Revolutionary War, it was only like a small percentage.
3%
that had anything to do with anything. So you can kind of, there are other experiments that come into play. Once, with women especially, where 2/3 of them will go with shit just because an authority figure says so. Well, guess what the rest of the people are broke into? Things like the smoke experiment. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
The way it works is you've got like a person coming in for a job interview or something, and there's collaborators in the waiting room. And so they'll just sit there, and like there'll be smoke coming out of something. And because nobody reacts, the individual becomes a lot less likely to react. Where I don't remember the numbers of it, but it's preposterous too, where the one person will just think that the other people know what's going on and it's legit or whatever.
Yeah.
And so with women especially, they'll get in these groups where 2/3 of them are basically psychopaths. And then the rest will be like, yeah, but everybody else is saying this.
Right, lemmings.
So it becomes just straight up 100% basically. All these sociological experiments are good, like the Stanford prison experiment.
Right.
Where they took these undergrads maybe or something, and they had some of them split into being officers and some of them into prisoners. And before it was over, there was like a doctoral candidate that was like claiming I don't know, kill himself or some shit like that, where it's just like almost immediately these people degenerated into like a subhuman class, and then the guards, they degenerated into this fucking like stormtrooper type of thing where they're like threatening inmates and shit like that. It's like, dude, you're just in a play, an experiment. Like, what are you doing? It's only been like a day or some shit. And it started happening basically immediately, where as soon as someone thinks that they are no longer on that even playing field, that life is anarchy. Everyone needs to realize that. And so regardless of all these laws and stuff, life is anarchy. And that's why denying reality is what comes along with leftism. It's delusional thinking. It's just, we're gonna create a new reality based on what we think is real. And sometimes it works because God makes actual laws, not people. So every time people try to make a law, it's something stupid. Like, let's have a war on fucking flowers.
Yeah, you can't use a used pair of underwear to wash your car. That's an actual law somewhere in this country. You cannot use a used pair of underwear to wash your car. That's a law. And it's absurd, man. It's absurd as hell.
Most laws these days are completely absurd. Basically everything your city council talks about, I don't know how they get it in their heads. Bro, how have you not heard freedom of speech and now you're sitting here trying to make a law?
Right. You want me to sign a paper that says I won't criticize any members of local government when the First Amendment guarantees us that right, and it makes it illegal for you to try to tell me I can't.
Yeah.
But they do it anyway.
Literally, like, the people running their cities are so stupid they don't even know, like, just basic facts about America. And then worse is that all the other lemmings are like, we have to listen to them. Why?
Well, that's
complete idiots.
Yeah, that's starting to change. You know, people are, I mean, I guess probably they always have, but there seems to be this movement from coast to coast where people are showing up at these town meetings and they're telling these people that are sitting up there that you're criminals because you want to limit our speech.
Oh, yeah, like Denver Metro Audits. And he just checked into jail. Do you know what that was about?
No, what was it about?
I don't know. I think it might have been filming in a court, in a courthouse.
Huh.
They ruled against him and said that it's not his First Amendment freedom of press. Who knows what he even brought up, though. The problem with these auditors is that they're just going to hire a lawyer and the lawyer's going to tell them what their defense is. And that's all that. Man, I just watched Brian Young highlight this video of this guy. The cops show up. They wanted ID. He gave it to them. They wanted to stop him and talk to him or whatever. He allowed it. They wanted him to get out. This and that. He did it. And then now he wants $25,000 for his legal defense. And it's just like, dude, fuck you. Like, fuck you. Like,
you didn't stand up for yourself, and you didn't stand on your rights, and you didn't refuse to talk to the cops.
And you're not going to either. That's the worst part, is that you'll give him $25,000 so that he can fucking give it to the socialist lawyer. And then the lawyer is going to go and play some games.
He's going to collaborate with the judge and the prosecutor to throw his sucker in jail.
To settle for, to do a plea agreement. It's always the same. It's always the same.
Yeah. The only person that didn't get a plea offer was Chili. That's how they doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on that because his lawyer was incompetent, and Chili never took. He should have fired that guy immediately.
I don't think Chili was even looking at having probation if he was found guilty of that.
Right. I think they wanted to send him to some kind of anger remediation and then, maybe empty some trash cans at the...
They want to essentially fine him.
Yeah, or have him empty the trash at the park for a couple of weeks or something, with no kind of criminal record at all. But, the judge got in her feels because Chile exercised his First Amendment rights. Well, that's still, look, that story's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's really not.
Well, I'm being accused of essentially the same thing that he was already acquitted on. Except for I went ahead and did a criminal complaint against the officer, and I reported it, and then I did a private person's arrest on him. So, I did it pro style, but it's basically the same as his case.
Yeah.
Where the cop will get up
evidence
there and talk about how much he doesn't know. But the thing is about me is that I'm going to be asking him things like, what, do I not have a freedom of speech? Do I not have a right to assemble? Do I not have, and it's because I'm going to be running it, not some fucking bar member. Man, I've been watching Suits lately, and it is terrible. Bro, it's like they're trying to convince us how pointless the legal system is. And yet they're showing us these, like, nice, luxurious buildings and stuff like that. And people go for it. They're like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. To just be flat out criminals, taking all this money off the top. And people are just like, oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And no one's really understanding. Half of it was about drug war shit. Half of it was about being a lawyer when he didn't go to the school. Like, think about how stupid that is. Where it's just like, why the fuck does the school matter? Isn't it the bar exam that makes you a lawyer or not?
I guess what makes you a lawyer is if you're good friends with the judge and the prosecutor, right?
Basically, that's what it is. Or in Suits, what they like to do is, get some leverage over them. And then they won't go to the DA with this or some shit like that. Where it's just all like an extortion thing. But instead of each of them having like their own guards that have to go out and extort people, they just use the government to do it. And it's just, dude, what the fuck, man? All these shows just convince us how stupid the Socialist is. All of it. Where because Suits, you might think those are capitalists because they have like lots of money and they've got a skyscraper in Manhattan and stuff. But no. They're socialists. Scheming and using the public funds, using the courts, the publicly funded courts, to make their millions of dollars for them, right? But it's still, it's socialism. It's still the same thing, even though they have clients, they go in and pay them. I agree with that premise. But it's still, they're only doing it because of this whole socialist machine. The courts and the cops and the prisons and stuff like that. And bro, who's the victim of a guy pretending to be a lawyer? And they never worry about, that at all. It's like, you violated something written down here. That means you're going to prison. No, that's not what it means. You have restrictions on the laws that you can make. And one of them is that I have to have an accuser. Someone accusing me of a crime.
Right. Sixth Amendment.
You can't even get a warrant without that.
Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
Yep. Sixth Amendment and Fourth Amendment are married at the hip. There has to be an accuser who's willing to swear out a statement of injury and damages, right? What was the criminal act that caused what damage? Who did it? Right. And then
right to counsel.
Then the judge determines probable cause, not the cops. Right. The judge determines probable cause based on a complainant's sworn statement of damages. Hey, what's the matter? You showed up. What's up, bro? Yeah, man, and these judges and prosecutors and the cops, they all just continue to commit crimes by violating our constitutional rights. Every single fucking day, in every single jurisdiction, in every single courtroom, from coast to coast.
It could be argued that that's the only thing that they do.
No, right. I mean, unless it's, and okay, like, man, I don't know if I've related this one or not. There's a festival in Columbus, Ohio. It's called ComFest, Community Festival, right? And it's, everybody gets together. They sell booze and sandwiches, and it's like a big giant market with all these other activities, right? People sell T-shirts and jewelry and all kinds of stuff, artwork, blah blah blah. Anyway, there was a fight, and this teenager stabbed another teenager and killed that other teenager. But the teenager who did the killing was the son of this extremely rich doctor in Columbus who was well connected, and this other kid was a rich kid, but his parents, the one that got killed, they weren't quite as influential and powerful as this kid who murdered this other kid. He was charged, and then the charges were dismissed. He killed this kid in front of potentially dozens of witnesses, and he got away with it. Why? Because his family was rich and powerful. Just us. Just us.
Yeah.
Welcome to the reality of it. The reality of it is, Pierre DuPont can murder this guy who's a UFC fighter in his little traffic loop in front of his gigantic mansion, and he just goes away to a psychiatric institute for 6 months or a year or whatever. He never goes to prison.
One of the things that we don't like to talk about is whether or not we deserve treatment like that. Because here's the absolute truth. When you're willing to show up and start a fight with a stranger about nonsense, literally, I don't know what people are talking about that disagree with me. Because it's just going to be gibberish. It's not even going to be about the video at all.
Right.
So
right. They come and they say, well...
Go ahead.
No, they show up in your channel and they say you must be off your meds, or
right.
You need to
the
change
whole
your
thing's
shirt
about the drug
or whatever.
War, and this is what they tell me is that I should be on meds.
Yeah, right. It's about the drug war, but they think that.
Yeah, for sure. Delusions.
Yeah, what do those people have to say about the woman who was illegally arrested, kidnapped, and then illegally imprisoned because she said no to the cops when they asked her for the ID? The woman in Connecticut, right, who got thrown in the mental institution.
I'm sure they'll say nothing. Bro, they don't have any arguments when they disagree with our rights. How can you make an argument? Because I'm just going to say, obviously, that's freedom of speech or something. It's easy. It's not hard. And that's why they don't even make an argument, because it's just going to be obviously beaten down so quickly that I wish my channel. Well, what I was getting to with all this reiteration is that, like, what do we deserve better? Because, you were just saying one guy can kill the other guy and it's just kind of nothing. But is it something? Because if we're willing to stand up, dude, you've seen Back the Blue rallies. They're full. People love these fucking people. They love it. The more crimes they commit, the better. You've seen the bootlickers on these videos. They'll show up. The cop's committing a crime right in front of everyone. The bootlicker will show up and start defending him. I mean, just no connection to reality at all, which is common. It's half of men. It's 2/3 of women. Super common. So do we deserve better than that? Some of us deserve. And that's why we have a republic where we have these inalienable rights, so that the people that deserve can go ahead and invoke those. And it's supposed to work, but, it doesn't.
Yeah, a lot of the time it doesn't. It works for me.
It always works because it's the truth. But as far as are you going to get necessarily to avoid jail time or something like that? No, we're in a criminal fucking fascist socialist dictatorship, and they want to be the king, even though they're all servants. There's two classes of people in America. There's servants, and then there's citizens.
Right.
And the citizens
where are the
above.
Masters? Right. Where are the masters? The masters. Yeah, the masters. They never leave their compounds, and they just pick up the phone when they need something done. The masters are supposed to be me and you.
We're supposed to be, yeah.
Right. It's supposed to be me and you, and What's the Matter You, and Jeff Hates Pigs, and Kurt Olson. Look, whenever I've been illegally detained or seized on the side of the road, I start talking about my rights, and I don't have to say a whole lot. And the pigs are, they're saying, have a nice day. They don't want to get involved in that, man. When they find that they've got somebody who's educated, unless they're so fucking ignorant that they don't mind being in trouble, they'll just give up. Like the pigs where you live, they're extremely fucking stubborn. And they're convinced that they have these powers over us. They're convinced of it.
Oh, they're convinced. Yeah, they're convinced.
Yeah.
They don't need evidence. They're not even interested in proving that in any way. And it's so weird because these are the people, take the judge, for instance. What, he went to law school? So in other words, he chose to never make a choice in his life, right? To just do as he was told. That's what apparently his choice was. And then the cop is the same thing.
Yeah, the judge or the lawyer spent 8 years, 6 or 8 years or whatever it is to get a law degree so that they can be told by someone else everything that you learned is false. You're going to do what we say. You're going to follow these policies right here. You're not going to follow the law. You're going to follow these policies, and this is how it works. Yeah,
it's absolute sickness. I mean,
it is, man.
DMA's in jail right now. I feel bad for him. He's in jail right now. But you know what? Also, on the other hand, I've told him stuff. He doesn't want to hear it.
No, listen, these people, they are subordinate to the cult of RAS. And what crime, what reasonable articulable suspicion, what probable cause, blah, blah, blah. Things that are not established by the pigs. Things that are established by judges are what they're arguing with these cops. And then the cops get confused because what we should be doing is standing on our rights. But we don't do that. So the cops get confused. And then, Carolina, Fort Worth, gets beat up and plastered on the pavement because she's talking nonsense.
Well, we've already seen with her that she'll put up with basically anything. And yeah, you're right. What's the matter with you? It does work better than talking nonsense with these people. It's that you're invoking real laws, and they're wanting to talk about case precedent, or they're wanting to talk about a state statute or a city ordinance. And we've already got an identification law. It's the Fourth Amendment. It's not Texas 3802 or any fucking thing else.
Right. Yeah, it's none of that.
The Fourth Amendment.
The Fourth Amendment.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, to be secure in your person's house's papers and effects, unless there's a warrant signed by a judge. A sworn statement. Sworn. He committed a crime against me. Against me. A real crime. Okay? This isn't talk about your feelings, talk about your religion, talk about your, he was over there, he had a thing. No. A crime. A crime. Not you have a different belief and he shouldn't have a thing that he's got or some shit like that. A real crime. Real meaning that there's a victim. This whole victimless crime shit where people are willing to go ahead and believe it, bro, that's what the cops are doing. They're seeing what you're going to fall for. And listen, they'll tell you a lie. I can ID you. Or maybe they'll put it in a different way. I can ask for ID. Because, these are witches. So their whole thing is like pretending to say something that they're not really saying. So they say it very specifically. Can I get your ID? I can ID. I have the right to ID, to ask for your ID. That's how they'll put it. And yeah, you might have a right to ask for it, right? You've heard auditors say you have a right to ask, but I have a right to decline, right? And why that's bad is that you're not getting to the point. I mean, Fifth Amendment, you're going to try and use my identity against me, so I'm never giving it to you. Fourth Amendment, I'm securing my papers and my effects, including my identity. Unless you have a warrant. A warrant can preempt that.
Right.
But
if you got a warrant that this is the other thing that these pigs and these judges get wrong all the time. everything to be searched or seized has to be specifically named on the warrant, which establishes probable cause to do those things. But they've been bamboozled into becoming criminals and avoiding the Constitution because their bosses say it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay at all. It's not okay at all. It's illegal. It's technically treason, man. Under the right circumstances, it's technically treason. I would argue that everything that government operators do, because the drug war exists, whether it's drug related or not, everything that they do is treason. Because we are, at fact, in a state of war. The state has declared war against we the people in many different instances that nobody wants to admit. Nobody wants to admit, but they just can't admit when they're wrong. So they double and triple and quadruple and septuple down on everything that they do. What's up there, Tac Fem? Yeah, we'll have a chat after the stream is over. Hendry, okay, so from what I read, Hendry's bond was revoked. And when your bond gets revoked, I'm not sure how that works on getting bailed out of jail. I don't know how that works. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know. But, Craig Hendry is the guy that, he pushes all those limits because he understands that he's an American and he has rights. And only when we push those boundaries do we prove criminal activity by these government operators when they react in a way that is, in fact, illegal. But, like those people in that clip from 1984 screaming and yelling while Goldstein is on the screen having his say, they're drowning him out. Those are the bootlickers, man.
Who is Charlie? I think he's still in jail. I think he's got something like 50 days or something.
So he was sentenced, right?
I think he was sentenced, and bail isn't a thing that applies because that's going up to trial. I would say
he took a plea. He took a plea, is what he did.
Oh, he did?
I believe so. I think I remember him saying that he pled out under these, illegal strictures made by this pimp ass judge.
You don't plead guilty because then you don't end up with appeal grounds and stuff like that. I don't know if that's in every case, but I would say you don't want to plead guilty, especially if you have a right to do something, because what you're doing is you're just agreeing to stand under these things.
Yeah.
Again, which is a recurring theme. We keep talking about it, submitting yourself and choosing that you're going to stand under a policy or something like that, or a state law when there's a federal right that precludes that law from existence. It's tragically hilarious because it's true. They'll see what you'll fall for or tolerate. Yeah. And the problem with us is that we fall for basically everything. Now,
every single thing they do.
I'm having a little bit of a different situation where I don't fall for their shit, and they didn't know how impossible it is to beat a person like me. They just don't understand it. It's not possible, because I'm going to be pointing out all of your misdeeds over and over again. I'll make the whole trial about that.
The crimes committed against Kennedy Walker, not this accusation of Kennedy Walker of complete absurdity. But the actual fact is they've committed a whole grocery list of crimes against you since the day at the farmer's market. They committed crimes against you that day, and they've continued to do nothing but commit more crimes against you, which is exactly what you've been saying before that ever happened. But they made it, they're too stupid to stop and actually observe the law. They just, oh man. What does let's for just 1 second imagine that, there's a career criminal and he commits a crime and the police are closing in on him. What does he do? Does he keep on committing more crimes and leaving more evidence? No, he stops. He moves someplace, he goes somewhere else to let shit cool off, and then he comes back when the sharks are no longer in a feeding frenzy, right? That would be the wise thing to do. But these people, when they get caught doing something, they just commit more and more and more and more and more crimes because they've been taught that it's okay. They don't do the right thing. They just continue to commit crimes against Kennedy Walker or, whoever, Craig Hendry, or, what's the matter you? He's been a victim of these pigs and their continual, committing their continued criminal activity. It's unbelievable. But, it's the reality that we live in. And do we deserve anything better? No.
Some of us certainly don't. Some of us are happy to support it when it happens to other people.
Yeah.
And it's just...
That's the insane part of it. Like, have you seen this Gary Peacock, the biker dude? Have you watched that one, Kennedy?
He was maybe a little bit. I have such a hard time watching any of this crap.
Right. Well, I saw it on the Civil Rights Lawyer channel, and this dude, this kid, I can't remember his name. He was really he was observing the rules of the road, and he gave this guy plenty of room. But this old, this baby boomer on a bicycle decided that he was too close, so he followed the kid into this park and basically assaulted him and battered him and held him against his will right there. And then the dude, Gary Peacock, the biker, called the police. And when the police came, they talked to him first, and the cop right away realized that he was, out of control and probably lying. And he was saying, yeah, I want that guy arrested. I want him arrested. And the cop was like, well, I'm going to go take a look at his video on his phone, which is rare because the cops hardly ever do that. So, the kid handed him his... he wanted the kid arrested and thrown in jail. He almost insisted on it. So when the cop watched it, he gave the phone back to the kid. He said, hold on a second. I'm going to go over here and talk to him. He said, I'm going to write you a ticket for what he accused you of doing. He said, just show up in court, blah, blah, blah. He was giving him pig code for don't worry about it. I'm not going to show up. Just show up or pay the fine or whatever. But he went back to Gary Peacock and he told the guy, he said, I should be arresting you because you assaulted and battered this kid. And Gary's like, no, can't we just work it out? Can't we just work it out? The cop says, a few minutes ago, you wanted me to arrest this kid when he didn't do anything. I should arrest you right now. That's what he should have done, but he didn't do that. But he wrote the dude a disorderly conduct ticket.
Well, you know what? It's not the job of the cop to figure out who needs to be arrested. This kid needs to say,
right, he needs to
press criminal charges. And become a complainant. And
exactly,
we can't have it both ways, where we call them servants and then we want them to do everything we want them to make our decisions for us. You can't have it the two ways.
That's American society demanding that the police make decisions for us is exactly what got us where the fuck we are right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of these cops are fed up with it, I believe.
You know what? I just had a commenter that was a cop. He came into my comment section, and he started talking about how he was looking at my information, and he was going to release it. And I'm like, look at you over here admitting that you're going to violate my Fourth Amendment right to be secure in my person's houses, papers of facts, things like my personal information.
Okay, so he looked you up in the database and then he's going to dox you. He admitted that he was going to dox you.
Right. And he's admitting that he's misusing
going to commit a crime.
These databases. He's searching and then seizing my identity and stuff without a warrant. And I just said, dude, no wonder I say you're the problem around here, huh? He ended up deleting all of his comments. He deleted every one of them.
Did you get some screenshots?
If you don't know that the fucking Socialist is at war with you, then fuck you. You don't need a screenshot. No,
but that's evident. That's evidence, man.
I don't need
evidence.
It's all of them, dude. I don't need evidence.
Of course it is. We know that. We know that.
Yeah.
But, we have to be able to prove it. We have to be able to prove it. Like you said, we got to put in the paperwork. Want,
but, bro, I've got a fucking laundry list of crimes to keep track of already.
Right. Locally. Right. Yeah. With cops that can come to your front door anytime.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you're basically besieged in your own home.
Well, they don't want to come to my house. I mean, they just
you've made it
like
perfectly.
I don't like them.
They've made it perfectly abundantly clear that you have a Fourth Amendment force field that notifies you every time they come around.
Well, shit, man, they'll fucking turn lights on and they'll fucking park right in front of your house, and I mean, it's not that hard. Yeah, I just filed charges on 2 more cops for pulling somebody over in front of my house. Which I haven't been able to get out. My foot's hurt and stuff. But I'll get to that here in just a minute. But I just saw him with his emergency lights on. They ended up pulling up all the way to my property. And so I just talked a little bit of shit from my doorway, went away, filed charges the next day for misuse of emergency lights. Dude, stop
disturbing
pretending.
The peace.
I didn't hit him with that. I just said there needs to be an investigation into these guys. I think they were searching somebody or seizing them without a warrant. I think the cop tried telling me that it was his friend he was pulling over or some shit like that. I just told him to shut up. I don't give a fuck. Just shut up. I don't care. I already saw him misuse his emergency lights, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the complaint on both of them. I don't need any of your input. Just go the fuck away. Stop violating your oath. I said, if you're looking for some kids to molest, you should go do that in your own neighborhood.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. It's not funny, but it is. It's horrific because it's true.
Yeah.
That they do that shit. I mean, look, I follow Black Man in the Wilderness, and since the beginning of the year, he has documented something like 1,800 different cases of pigs getting arrested, charged and arraigned, and some of them sentenced because of the crimes, the SA crimes they commit against children. Okay? Children.
Well, they get a license to get away with crimes by signing up with the Socialist. So who's that going to attract? It's the Dexter phenomenon, where he worked in a police station, right?
Yep.
That's why, because he wanted this shiny icon that he could show and get out of anything. And
right. And what did we learn from watching Dexter? That every single one of those cops in that murder.
I'm gonna have to jump off of here. You can continue.
Right. Yeah, that's good enough, man. We'll just go ahead and call it. We'll just go ahead and call it for now. Maybe we'll do something tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Take care of what you got to take care of. See you later, Kennedy.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Later.